Welcome to the Woodpreneur podcast, the number one podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. I'm your host, Steve from Acres of Timber. Each week, we feature various wood business owners and entrepreneurs from around the globe. We share their stories, paths, insights so that you can network, learn, and grow your own wood business. Thank you so much for listening. Now enjoy the episode. The Woodpreneur podcast is proudly sponsored by Energy, an ERP software for custom millwork shops. Hey, welcome to a brand new episode of the Woodpreneur podcast. As your host, Steve. Today's guest is Joe Keller, who's the president of RCS Millwork. How you doing, Joe?
Fantastic.
Awesome. Hey, so why don't you tell us about RCS? How'd you guys get started?
So RCS is sort of a second company. It's a second iteration, family company, lots of family involved. But my dad was running and managing a woodworking company here local. We're in Des Moines, Iowa, and ended up kind of leaving that company and going out and doing his own thing. He bought a small company called Ray's Cabinet Shop in about 1996 or 1997. And at that point, I was in middle school. So I started sweeping floors and cleaning dust collectors and thought, man, I don't know that I will ever want to do anything like this. So went to college, and my dad turned that company from a 3-employee company to, I think there's probably 50 or 60 employees when I got into the business after going to college and working in the construction industry for a while. Went and worked for a general contractor and realized, maybe it wouldn't be so bad to be my own boss. So went and bought into RCS with my dad, and now we've got about 85, 86 employees. And so we do commercial millwork all over the United States, sort of primarily focused here in the Midwest in very specific markets, but we'll follow our favorite customers just about anywhere that they want to go. So
cool. So do you guys have a specialized niche that you cater to? What type of customers do you, what are your main projects?
Yeah, we work primarily for general contractors in the commercial industry. We don't do anything residential. I've listened to several episodes of your podcast. Those guys that do residential work, man, God bless them. They have it. I don't want anything to do with it. So we're always taking a design and architects already drawn. They kind of know what they want about 90% of the way.
Yeah.
And then we could take that and bring it to fruition. So general contractors, we're doing work in retail spaces, banks, offices, corporate interiors, hotels, restaurants, all those kinds of things. So
that's amazing. And how are you forming these relationships with general contractors?
Well, I'd say that's developed over a long term. Being in a commercial industry, there are lots of lists that you can get onto. And get all kinds of public bid invitations. They're out soliciting quotes. And so over time, to begin with, there were lots of built-in relationships when I started.
Yeah.
And going from there to building those with more of those lists. And here's some projects to bid on for these people. And so you find lots of those projects, which we've come to find out it's not really our niche either. We're not looking for it's a hard bid project where your only differentiator is price. Nobody cares what you're doing, how you do it. They just want the lowest possible price and give it to me cheap. So that's not what we do. I like to think the harder the millwork project is, the better off we are. So complex items, things that nobody else can seem to figure out. That's what we love to take on.
Yeah, I'm looking at your work on rcsmillwork.com under projects, and it is super duper custom. Like that auditorium that you did, which is incredible. I mean, and the diversity of your work too, right? So from the auditorium to, the theaters, a curved veneer paneling on the bar, and then the hotel. So you get the project, you get the specs from the designer architect GC, right?
Yep.
Well, the design architect probably gives it to GC. GC translates it to you guys.
Yep.
And then, what does that look like when it comes into you?
Big sets of drawings. We take those, and I'd say 99% digital. So we're getting the PDFs usually of a set of drawings.
Yep.
We upload those into our system, which we use Energy. And if there's commercial people out there that probably have heard of Energy, it's a sort of upstart in an ERP, but we put all of our drawings, all of our opportunities go into the system so we can manage everything. Which has been huge growth in general anyway, just from using the fax machine to get all of our bid invites to now they come in, kind of via email, and just a total switch over of technology in the last 5 years. We take those drawings. We have a library of quote unquote products that we use to kind of build out as much of that stuff as we can. So you saw a lot of custom items on our website, but most of those custom things, we can break those down into smaller, more manageable parts and pieces that we recognize and can rinse and repeat a little bit. So it's not like completely reinventing the wheel every time you see it. It's like, oh, I need to use a little bit of this thing that we've already done over there. And then I need to marry that up with some of that thing that we've done over there, mesh those two things together. And then we can use some of that historical information of how long did it take us to do that thing and that thing, marry them together. And now we can come up with a good time frame, a good material estimate, and hours-based estimate to say, here's what we think our costs are going to be. Now, what do we want to sell it for?
That's great. And I know you said there's about 85 of you, but like on the initial end, like how many people are receiving the bids? As the president, are you still overseeing most of the projects or no?
No, that's one thing about a growing business. I went to a breakfast group this morning with a bunch of contractors and people who are growing businesses. The larger your business becomes, sometimes the less of the things that you love you get to do.
That's
so
truth.
I wish I would have taken a lot more business classes in college, number one, but there's always opportunities for education. So I hated school growing up, but now I can't get enough. Learn something new. I absolutely love it when it's applicable. So learning business, I now do mostly business and I do tons of problem solving. The buck usually stops here. So when there's a problem that can't be solved, it usually lands on my desk. And so those are the things I take care of every day. So I think I have 7 or 8 project managers that are managing projects day in and day out, getting materials here, making sure we have all of the information from the field, from the contractors, so that we can just build stuff. I have a team of drafting and engineering. I've got, say, 6 people that are just doing estimates all day, every day, putting numbers out onto the street to try and win. And the best thing I did here recently, I was our kind of lone lead business development sales type of person and was just burning the candle, at both ends plus the middle. So I hired a guy that used to be an estimator for me and went out and did his own business and decided he didn't like that. So he came back to work for me, and he's 100% focused on finding the right projects and then bringing them home. So that has been huge, huge benefit to our business. And I would say that I hate salespeople. Salespeople. I became a salesperson and then hired a salesperson. But
and make your life more easier, right?
But doing sales the right way, in my opinion, where it's really much more customer focused than us focused. We're not selling our products. We're talking to an owner or a contractor, and we're trying to listen to what their needs are, what problems they're facing, and how can we help solve some of their problems. Even it may not have anything to do with millwork, but we can somehow help to solve those problems. It becomes much more win-win. So
and the scale, it's interesting. And once it's done, it ships. Like, is it, boxed up, shipped, put on a truck, sent to wherever it is across the US?
Yeah, for the most part, everything we can palletize, we palletize.
Awesome.
And stretch wrap together. So if we're making cabinets, which we make a lot of cabinets, but that is not necessarily our main focus. Again, we're trying to make hard stuff. So those hard things, they don't fit on pallets. But we package those up, put them on a semi, put them on the back of one of our trucks, take them, deliver them, and then unload them. We do a little bit of installation on job sites. but primarily we also have a quartz and stone facility where we're manufacturing quartz and stone.
Gotcha.
We thought that would be a real easy segue, doing a lot of woodworking and
Was it?
solid surface. No, it's totally different.
Okay. That was about to say, it sounds really difficult. Yeah. It sounds like, a context switch, right? So you're in this mode of wood and producing these really custom things. And what was that like?
Oh, a lot of learning.
Yeah.
We have a department that makes pretty much solid surface like Corian and
Yeah.
countertops and fabrications. So looking at that and thinking, boy, stone is a lot harder, but it's a lot of the same processes, same details.
Okay.
There was a company that had gone out of business for a myriad of circumstances, and
Mm-hmm.
their equipment was going up for auction. So it was a really good time for us to say, wow, we could kind of get into this market and give it a try. So it was about a year and a half learning curve of just trying to figure out how in the heck do we put all this stuff together. But hired some really expert people from the industry, plugged them in, and yeah, details are different. Fabrication methods are completely different.
Yeah.
There's no, you can glue a piece of solid surface or a hardwood edge onto a piece of laminate and then run a flush trim router over it and call it good. And life is easy. There is no flush trim router when you're doing stonework. So if you're mitering two pieces together, they absolutely have to be perfect and exact size to glue them together. So there are some differences. Another one is most of our customers buying stone want it installed. None of our customers that do their own installations want to touch stone. So
Yeah.
we've had to kind of build an installation team as well, manage that. Managing installation is a lot harder than managing fabrication in a manufacturing facility.
Wow. What is one thing that you know now that you wish you knew when you first started in running?
Great question. There's a lot of things.
Yeah.
A lot more business acumen. I love building stuff. I get Legos still every year for my birthday from my wife or whatever, because I just love working with my hands. I'm very tactile.
Yeah.
So in school, it's like, I'm never going to use this accounting crap. I'm never going to pay attention to all this business stuff. And man, having gone through COVID, our industry was sort of decimated. Nobody was doing commercial interiors. Nobody was building restaurants. And so we really had to kind of dig deep and figure out a lot more details. How does your business work? Cash truly is king.
Yeah.
Our contracts are written when our customer gets paid, then they'll pay us.
Yeah.
If our customer never gets paid, guess what? Neither do we. So
Yeah.
we just kind of took that and rolled over, and we can't change the contract. We're not the one writing it.
Yeah.
Until you learn that you do have a little more power, and the most power you have is before you sign that contract. So
Yeah.
negotiation skills, sales skills, learning a lot more about how to just manage and run a business, not necessarily a millworks business, but how can you make yourself as profitable as possible? My dad and I are both collegiate athletes, and man, when you're an athlete and you're playing college sports, it is work hard. You work hard all the time. And so we kind of brought that to our business strategies. We work harder than anybody, which it doesn't necessarily translate well to business and trying to be profitable.
No, not it's work smart. Yeah. It's work smart.
Absolutely. So our mentality over the last 3 years has become working much smarter.
Right.
We've set some goals for this year as far as revenue and margins go that we've already surpassed sort of our booking goals metrics for 2023.
Wow.
And we're just starting February. So
just February. Yeah.
So working smarter and finding those projects where you don't have to work so hard.
Yeah.
Out of hard bid, schools and government projects that anybody and their brother can bid on them. No offense. I've got a pickup truck and a table saw. I'm now a commercial millwork.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Well, I mean, COVID laid off a lot of people and everybody became a garage woodworker.
I need to compete with that.
Yeah.
Don't want to.
Don't want to. No, that's not the business that you want. And speaking of working smart, talk to us about the moment when you realized that you probably needed energy.
Oh, I knew we needed energy. It didn't exist. As soon as I started working, I'm going to say on the office side of the millwork business, coming from working at a general contractor where I'm managing a bunch of subcontractors, I'm managing a workforce in the field. And they've got great systems built out to do that, where I can see where my costs are, what am I going to spend, where are those dollars going, what's coming up, and then came over into the millwork industry. And everything that we did was run off of Excel. We had Excel spreadsheets to do estimating. We had Excel spreadsheets to do project management, which was made up of tons of Excel spreadsheets. And then we had to report billings to our accounting team via Excel. They put that into QuickBooks or some other accounting system.
Yeah.
We've got all of these areas of information and nothing ever ties together.
By the way, it wasn't like you could share those documents either.
No.
You had to like save different versions of those, right?
Oh, absolutely. And then building larger and larger projects, our estimates start getting big. Well, I've run out of space in our template to do an estimate. So now this project is made up of 3 estimates instead of 1. Trying to pull it all together and understand all of it. It's like, there's got to be a better solution to doing this. And at the time, we had several facilities. We had 2 separate offices. We were working in Kansas City and in Central Iowa. And so we're managing 2 different markets. And so everything that we started looking at, back in, let's just say 2016, 2017, it had to be on your local server.
Yeah.
And so it's just
back when companies had servers, remember that?
Right. And so let's put all of our information on this server here. And then everybody that doesn't work in this building is now remoting in. And you try to do that with Excel and speeds are slow, it's sluggish. And so it's like, this just doesn't fit. And we happened to just kind of run into energy in its very infancy. We were at an AWI, which is the Architectural Woodwork Institute. They have an annual convention. We went to that, and here's this crazy guy with long hair and didn't wear any shoes who ran a millwork business. He just started talking about having a bottleneck report and being lean and putting all of your information into one place. And it's like, holy cow, this sounds fantastic. And it's going to be cloud-based. It's a software as a service. So it's accessible from anywhere. I can look at my cell phone or my iPad and get on as long as I have internet service. I can get on and see what's happening in my business in real time. And that also opens up so many avenues of, I can have my other office. We can be looking at the exact same thing. I can have multiple estimators in one single bid at the same time, but it also opens up the employment pool. We're working right now. It's hard to find people.
You got remote access to give to people. I mean, they can work anywhere.
Right. So my labor pool on the office side anyway has become national. I can do a search and I'm looking for a new project manager. I can find the best project manager and they can live in another country. Really wouldn't matter because we're working on the same system.
That's amazing. And information's asynchronous anyway. Nothing's actually in real time. You upload it, you look at it when you have the moment, right? And then you can do what you need with that information, right?
Right. And some of the best things about energy, I said, you asked me, what do I wish I knew when I started? And all of the business acumen and education is all a function of energy. Honestly, most people in the woodworking industry, did they get their start because they love doing business or they love doing woodworking? People love working with their hands. I built something. Hey, now I can sell this thing. Now, how do you know if you're being really profitable or not? How do you account for your costs? How do you account for, how much you're spending in overhead? What does that mean? How does that all factor and work together to actually make you money? Well, I don't know. I just make stuff. I feel like I'm charging a lot of money for it. So I got to be doing well. But people go out of business because they don't have any cash. They're profitable, but they don't have any cash. And so there's all these factors of people who aren't business people that do this business of woodworking that don't know business. And so energy has found that niche of they can sell software, but that's only part of it. I can give you software, but if you don't know how to use it, you don't know what you're looking at, it's not going to make you successful. And so they're very much like a rising tide lifts all boats. If we're all,
Sure.
this is one of the least profitable industries in the construction market. We
Mhm.
hardly make any money in comparison to other industries. So
Yeah, yeah.
why can't we be? Well, I think we absolutely can be. And energy, not software, but just education has taught us a lot of how to do that. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. What was another sort of thing about that energy that really added to your bottom line? What do you think? Aside from, I mean, well, it seemed like it streamlined all of the paperwork and Excel spreadsheets that were out there. Was it, and then you said there was the education. What else do you think sort of really made it an impact?
really helping us to focus on certain metrics, I would say, and having those be very visible. Driving your business to what is the most important metric for your business to know if you're making money, if you're going to make money, and how to maximize as much money as you can make. We're all in business. Well, I would say most of us, we don't run a charity as much as we want everybody to be successful. We're not a charity. We've got to make money so that we can sustain and build employees and build them up and pay better than what average wages are so that
Yeah.
everybody can be successful. But how do you know that you're hitting that? And there's some things that energy puts right in your face to say, what we thought used to be a great job because we charged a really high margin percentage on it. But all it was labor, and we didn't make enough money on that labor.
Mhm.
We had some very eye-opening moments. So, man, we had a project where we're doing work for someone else. They provided all the materials to us. So normally you would mark up materials and then you'd mark up your labor. So we marked up our labor and we even boosted that number to say, yeah, we're going to make a lot of money on this if we're not supplying the material.
Yeah.
And so we did the job and just went through and it's like, this just doesn't feel right. And then we started looking at the metrics and it's like, holy cow, if this is all we ever did for the course of a year, we'd be out of business.
Yeah.
We can't do these projects where the most valuable thing that we have is really the guys on the shop floor that actually put stuff together.
Yeah.
And if we're not maximizing the amounts of margin and profit that those guys manage with every hour of their day,
Yeah.
we're not going to be successful. So
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, it sounds like energy really made a big impact on your business.
huge impact.
So if you listen to the podcast, you know that I give you an opportunity to ask any business or marketing questions. So is there anything marketing or business wise that I could help you out with? Anything that you've been thinking?
Yeah. The one thing I've been thinking about is having a sales guy who is not professionally sales trained. He just has a knack for it.
Yeah.
One thing we're really discovering is as we grow and we're building relationships and we're trying to do really a different set of work where used to be the fax machine rings. So we know what we're going to work on because we got a new piece of paper, but we're trying to go to a different model. We don't even want to look at some of the smaller projects because they take as much setup time, as much management time as the
Yeah.
larger projects do. So that's become a much bigger focus for us of doing larger projects. Our manufacturing facility and our focus is really kind of Midwest between Des Moines, Kansas City, Omaha. So we've got like this little bubble that we work in, but inside of that bubble, there's not enough of those projects. And so we need to be out developing different relationships and introducing ourselves to new customers,
Yeah.
new potential customers. And that's something that I do not have a knack for in
Yeah.
trying to build new business relationships outside of our market.
For sure. For sure. Well, you know what? I love the idea of, so, I mean, to maybe recap your challenges, like you have this area that you'd like to reach and of a certain threshold of a type of project you don't want to go under. And you know that there's a lot of opportunities out there between your two facilities. How do you create a community around your ideal customers so that you're in front of them on a continuous basis?
Yeah. And finding who's that other customer that I don't know of that's in a totally different market that right now we don't really focus on serving.
Mm. And how do you find a new market?
How do you find that new market and get somebody brand new to trust you, trust that you can do
For sure.
what you say you can? Who can I trust? There's lots of potential customers out there. They may not
So
fit what
there's new customer thing is really interesting because you don't know if it's not absolutely apparent to you, right? Then you almost have to wait for them to see you, right? So it's a quite like they have to see what you do and they're like, you know what? I think I have an idea. Then they'll reach out. So let me answer the first one and then hopefully I can come back to that second part. So I like the idea of, when a band goes on tour,
Yeah.
right? You ever look at their show schedule, right? They're in one city every other day or every day. They're in a new city, right? And so I would look at what are the major markets between your two markets? Like what are the other, whether it's Chicago, whether it's Aurora, or like anything that has a sizable commercial industry base demographic. And there's a lot between those two cities, right?
Yeah.
And I would put together RCS tour, like a band, right? And within these tours, I would potentially host them at a networking mixer. They could be either a lunch and learn type thing, or it can be in an evening where there's cocktails and drinks and there's networking. But the idea is that what you want to do is to build community among your ideal customers. A lot of them know who their competitors are, but if you are at the center of all of those conversations, then there's overlap in between, right? So think about the problems that they currently have that your company solves for them, and then put together a series of events. And you could probably do it over the course of 2 months, and every other day do a tour. You go out the RCS Millwork tour and you are going out and you can reap together a list, get your current customers, they can be your testimonials, and then invite all of your other potential customers there. And then literally deliver value, show them how they can make more money by working with you, show them how you can truly transform the relationship. You've been around for a long time, talk about all that stuff, and then give them an offer right then and there. Is there a project that you have coming up right now that we can plug ourselves into? Like give them an offer. Maybe it's a discount on their first project, or maybe it's, like cut some on the materials, right? Or if they provide the materials, you provide, right? Or maybe it's you can pop in on their design thing, or maybe you can help on their bid, right? Like just come from a partnership mindset. And look, if you get one client in each city, it's worth it. If you get half of the amount, if you pick 5, 6 cities that you do this over the course of 2 months and you get one client, that's worth it, because the repeat on that client is worth a lot. A customer is worth a lot of money to you.
Absolutely. All of our work is pretty much repeat work.
Exactly. So think about that. I would set a budget to it, like 10 grand. And I would put money towards Facebook ads, LinkedIn ads, hiring somebody to do outreach and emails and phone calls and booking people to the venue. I mean, there's the money towards the venue, the food, the drink. Make sure that you have like a good roadshow presentation, videos. Is this pumping you up?
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm taking notes, man.
Yeah, no. So this is what I would do. For the second one, finding new, I would almost potentially put out a challenge, right? And then the challenge is like, it's a page on your webpage that puts your most unique projects out there, right? And almost have people do like a reverse RFP. And the reverse RFP is, and again, I would probably use LinkedIn for this. And the reverse RFP is, we love our projects. We do great work and we can basically do anything. Pitch us your wildest idea and we'll give you a free quote. And then do a search on the most unconventional industries, right? Run ads to the most unconventional industries, right? Like textile and fashion and, what else is in biology, chemical industry. But again, it all goes down to you have this core product, you know who the key decision maker is, and it's usually the GC, right? So if there's a GC in an unknown industry that doesn't know that you exist because they've been using somebody else, and traditionally, you just need to find them and talk to them and show them what you're capable of. And again, put an offer out there. Listen, we will work with you to sell your boss on some creative idea. Or, I'm sure you use a lot of sustainable products, right? Figure out if there's some new material, right? Google an article and just say unconventional building materials. Just find something like that, right? And in contact them, you know what I mean? You see what I'm saying, right? About thinking completely out of the box, but allowing the world to know that you are capable of doing out of the box work.
Yeah, get me going, because we don't do much on social media. We don't put ourselves out there very much.
Yeah.
And some of that's intentional because we don't want just anybody contacting us and
Sure.
eating time with stuff that we just don't do. So it's really a much more targeted marketing, but using unconventional materials, that's definitely right up our alley. We've done a lot of that. We've 3D printed reception desks before.
That's amazing.
To solve customers' pain, and huge cloud looking reception desks that we did just 3D printed because they couldn't find a material
they couldn't find a material, right? There's somebody out there with the values that you want. You just kind of need to know that. So, but I would start with that first one first. And, if we want, we can think about the other idea, but the first one, a roadshow makes the most sense. Do it in the spring, find the best brewery, the best locations, and pick 5 to 10 markets. Look to see who has the largest amount of general contractors. Because whatever city has the most amount of general contractors that you don't have a relationship, that means that there's a lot of people eating.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people eating. There's a lot of meat on that bone in that city, right? And so, yeah, that's what I would do. Is that helpful?
That's super helpful.
Cool. Awesome, Joe. Hey, so any last bit of parting advice for the Woodpreneur community?
I don't know. Go for it. I think don't always do what's cheap.
Yeah.
Don't always look for the cheapest price. Looking for, software that's going to be cheap. This probably means cheap service. Just like you wouldn't go out to your local lumber supplier and say, just give me your cheapest, wood studs to build a house. They're going to be twisted and warped, and you're going to try and return them. They're going to be like, nah, that's just what it is. You wanted cheap crap, so you got cheap crap. I know we've spent a lot of money on software, but we got a lot more value in return. And because it is a cloud-based software, anybody could really invest in it because you're basically paying per the user. You're not buying one thing that is stagnant and doesn't build and grow. So that's what I'd say. If you're looking for something to really help your business and go far and build and grow, and you're looking for a system that will grow with you, I'd say spend the money. It might look like a huge chunk up front, but do the things, focus on the things that make you money instead of, trying to focus on doing data entry and menial tasks that trying to connect these two spreadsheets together just so I can figure out if I'm making money.
For sure.
So
for sure.
Let something else do that. Automate anything that you can.
Awesome. Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time. Loved hearing your story, and thanks for Energy for sponsoring this podcast. All right.
Thanks, Steve.
All right. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
See ya.
Thanks so much for listening to the Woodpreneur Podcast, the #1 podcast for the business and marketing side of the lumber, woodworking, hardwood flooring, and sawmill industry. If you like what you heard, please give us a 5-star rating and review. You can also tap into our community by visiting woodpreneurlife.com. Once again, that's woodpreneurlife.com. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next episode.